fucking not okay! How in the fuck do you think that this is passable in any way? Look at this shit! Look at this shit! Look at all this shit! This is garbaggio! This is garbage! Garbage! He doesn't even look like he belongs in the world that he's inhabiting!
So I have been putting off this video for about a month, and I think I need to just hurry up and just do it. I've been spending my time thinking about how I'd want to make this video, you know, different skits I wanted to do, I really wanted to go full-on out JonTron style on this video, but it's been so long, I'm just out of energy just thinking of what I want to do and when I would get the time to do what I want to do. So we're just doing it like this. I know, it's glorious, isn't it? I don't think I've used my avatar in a video besides like a stream before. Mostly because I'm still uncomfortable with it. I'm still trying to find a better avatar. But whatever, let's just jump right into this. And before I just did a little edit video of some of the Transformers related questions that I had no interest in answering, brought to you by Digibro, of course. So let's take a look at this. Goldenrod Prime asks, why do we pay money for water? We don't. You can just go out and find water. You pay money for the services to package and to purify said water. Money can be exchanged for goods and services, and water would be a good, and in the purification process or the packaging process, a service. What game are you hyped for 2019? Asked Flame Lord. I haven't been hyped for a game in years. Yeah, there's no game I'm necessarily hyped for. Terrasil Pix comes in with 4 questions, since you're probably going to get 5 total without this lamau. At what age did you realize you were a homosexual? That realization hasn't come to pass yet. Why did you lie on your answer to the oh no, why did you lie to the answer on the first question? I didn't. That's not what happened. Of the most prominent Transformers characters, oh no, Optimus Prime, Megatron, Ratchet, etc., do you have any favorite representations of them, whether it be for originality or a well-done portrayal? Not really, actually, come to think of it. I like Transformers Prime Ratchet. That's probably my favorite Ratchet. All my favorite Optimus Primes, like, always go through a phase where they're not my favorite Optimus Prime. Like, I like Marvel Optimus Prime until he has, like, freaking panic attacks. I like IDW Optimus Prime until he has freaking panic attacks. I like animated Megatron, that's something. I actually love Unicron Trilogy Megatron. I could go on about Unicron Trilogy Megatron, and I think I almost did. I think I was making a video review of Transformers Energon, I believe, where I talked about why I loved Megatron, but I don't have the energy to go through it again, I'm sorry. After the latest channel shift, do you have any plans to diversify your content more, or will you still be sticking to your bread and butter? What is the bread and butter of this channel? I'm not really sure what the bread and butter is to begin with. I kinda am just doing whatever I feel like doing at this point. Like just a random Q&A video, apparently. My Transformer Talk videos are of the same quality as my Commander's Cabin videos. I would still be doing games and more in-depth commentary videos, it's just I don't have the time. Like I meant for this video to be, you know, bigger and better, but that didn't come to pass. I do think there's been a lot going on, like with me personally, you know, and self-discovery and that crap. And I think that's going to become reflected in future videos. I think I'm going to drop sort of the forced persona of happiness. I don't know how you describe the forced elements of the Commander Radix persona, but I'm going to be more, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but We'll just have to see where the channel goes, because at this point it's just in this very liquid, adaptable, I guess, form right now. I have no idea what's going on. I get that sums up that sums up what we're doing right now. I have no idea what's going on. Commander Radix 2019. That's probably the most accurate description of how I'm handling the channel right now. I don't know how long it will be until I sit down and say, all right, here's the plan. It could be tomorrow, it could be 5 years from now, but right now we're in this very fluctuating state. Thank you guys for holding on to the channel while we're in this bumpy time right now. I don't even know what country I'm going to be in like 7 months from now. 7 months? When's July? I'm recording this in February. March, April, May, June, July. That's 5 months. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know I have stuff going on right now. I'll put it like that. So I guess to diversify my content, there is no bread and butter, so I guess by definition everything is just a diversified content. I have no idea what's going on. That's the theme of my answer for that question. CJ the Great says, when you're falling in a forest and nobody is around, do you ever really crash? Do you even make a sound? I'm not sure if that's bad grammar or like intended to be like a song lyric. When you're falling in a forest and nobody is around, do you ever really crash, and do you even make a sound? Something like that. Some freaking punk rock style. I would assume, based on intuition, that if I were to fall into a forest, what goes up must come down, and there I would crash, and then therefore the crashing would produce a sound. It's just we don't have the empirical evidence to prove it beyond the one source of that being myself. Shockwave2 asks, if you were to ignore differences in franchises and multiverse, would Darkseid count as a multiversal singularity? I believe the authorial intent on Darkseid was originally after like the New 52 era, to be a multiversal singularity, yes. But the thing is, the DC multiverse is a bit iffy on how it handles multiverse stuff, especially when you look at the animated stuff. So it depends on the writer, if the writer wants him to be a multiversal singularity. Right now, Brainiac they've put more effort into making Brainiac a multiversal singularity than they have Darkseid. Which Transformers comics continuity had the best ending or final issue? Comics-wise, I don't know. I don't think any of the comics have had any solid endings. It just sort of ended. Dreamwave was just sudden death. IDW was like a slow and painful death. Marvel, I guess they actually put thought into the ending, if you include like Regeneration 1. Even though I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Regeneration 1, I'll just say Marvel, and that's not because I really like the Marvel continuity, it's because the Marvel continuity doesn't have much competition when it comes to the ending scene. Is Destro Cobra Starscream or Shockwave? Destro is Cobra Destro. I don't think Destro can necessarily be compared to other Decepticons in Transformers. Opinionated Thinker asks, reading any interesting comics outside IDW? I am reading sporadically some DC comics. Every now and then I pop in to see what's going on in Tom King's Batman, which I have mixed feelings about. Trying to keep up with Doomsday Clock, is just the release schedule keeps throwing me off. And trying to keep up with Heroes in Crisis. Not because I like Heroes in Crisis, but because Heroes in Crisis makes me so angry. It's just a train wreck, and I just want to be able to keep up with it just so I can be in the know with everyone complaining about it because it's such a mess. I do plan on reading the IDW Transformers series that will be coming out, and I might actually make a review series on it for every issue that comes out. Maybe on the second channel. Although, I don't want to overflood the main channel with Transformers stuff, and if I review every single Transformers issue that comes out, it's going to be overflowed with Transformers stuff. So it might be on the second channel, even though I know there'll be more people to watch it on the main channel. I don't know. We'll see what I do eventually. I've also been kind of reading Scott Snyder's Justice League. right now, or at least from what I've read up to, it feels like everything's going off in several different directions, and it's hard for me to get invested into any one subplot when they're jumping around all over the place. I actually started to read one of the newest Avengers run, but I only read like 2 issues of it. Ultrox is Dead, aka Ultrox Infinity. It asks, if you could rearrange the alphabet, what letters would you put together? I don't know. I don't have strong opinions on the placement of letters in the English alphabet compared to Ultrox, who feels the need to inform us of his preferred alphabet arrangement at the beginning of every video. A few people have asked me about Transformer toys, by the way, in this comment section. Over on Radix repository, the newest stream I've done that's archived over there, like the first part of it is me talking about my opinions on Transformer toys and collecting, so if you want to see that, go over there. It's my long and winded speech on Transformer toys and Transformers collecting. Ultimate Knight asks, not to sound like an annoying fan, but what was the reason you suddenly came back to Transformers after the G.I. Joe writer said the racist tweet? And will you continue your Transformers lore and Beast Wars Uprising podcast? If not, can you please explain why? This is a solid question if you had the understanding that you have. But let's see. You sound like you have Transformers. Alright, we have a few things to correct here. First, I guess we can tackle the G.I. Joe writer saying the racist tweet. Aubrey Sitterson did not make a racist tweet. And I don't... You guys see my content. You think I'm going to be offended about a racist tweet? Like a writer's going to put out a racist tweet and I'm just like, oh man, I can't support this guy. Aubrey, could you imagine Aubrey Sitterson making a racist tweet? That would be the most weirdly hilarious thing I'd see in a while. Aubrey Sitterson made some insensitive comments about 9/11, and I see some of the parts about the Aubrey Sitterson. Like, I see where he was trying to come from. People using 9/11 despite not having any real connection to it, pretending to have a connection to it to justify, I guess, any political ideas they might have. I can see where he was going with that, but it was definitely not worded as delicately as it should have been. It came off as egocentric, which is already coming from a writer that regularly engaged with the G.I. Joe community in a not so positive light. So it was just the straw that broke the camel's back with that writer. And I stopped reading IDW comics at that point because I was a completionist. I enjoy things by consuming as much content as possible, as much content is out there. That's just how I enjoy things. So if I couldn't, in good consciousness, or in good conscience, that's the word, in good conscience, buy that book and provide for that person I abhorred, then I wasn't going to read it. And if I wasn't going to read one part of the puzzle, just because of how I personally enjoy things, I wasn't going to participate in the rest of the puzzle. That was a sacrifice I was willing to make. And I wasn't trying to rally against Aubrey Sitterson. I wasn't trying to make this stance against SJWs and comics. I wasn't trying to make that stance. It's what I would have done if I had not had a YouTube channel. And the thing is, at that time, a lot of my YouTube channel stuff was built around the IDW continuity, and I felt that I couldn't just stop making IDW stuff. People would ask why that all of a sudden stopped, so I made that video. That was the purpose of that video. And I left specifically the IDW stuff. I did not leave Transformers. Transformers lore continued beyond that point. I stopped doing Transformers stuff because for a multitude of reasons, mostly it was overshadowing my main stuff. I didn't really like the community that much, or at least the online community. Oh, and the key thing was that Transformers meta continuity ended pretty much. And that defeated the purpose of Transformers lore. You gotta understand that Transformers lore wasn't meant to just regurgitate stories like Comic Historian or people like that. It wasn't just to retell the stories. You can just pick up the story and read it yourself. It was to give people the building blocks to understand the wider meta story of Transformers, like especially when you get to the fun publication stuff. And when the Transformer universe, universal notations are thrown out there, so you won't be lost and confused when you get into that stuff. But then that was thrown out the window, continuity died, and that's not two connected events, those are two things. FunPub was no longer had the Transformers license, and then continuity separately was gone. Look at the Michael Bay stuff, look at the IDW stuff, continuity became less important. And because there wasn't that meta story behind everything, the key purpose of Transformers lore, that series that I did, was gone. It wasn't just to retell stories. It wasn't just to talk about parts of the universe, I guess. It was not only to help people understand the meta story, but also to be able to get into current stories. But of course, I stopped supporting IDW, and at that point, IDW was primarily the only continuity I felt was worth getting into. So there was no point for the mission statement of the Transformers lore series was no longer relevant, so I stopped doing Transformers stuff. The reason I came back to Transformers, the reason the Transformers lore videos went down was because it was attracting Transformers people to my channel who weren't liking my actual content, like my main content. The reason they went back up, they returned to the public, is simply because I needed the money. That's the only reason those Transformers lore stuff are up right now on the main channel, is because I need the ad revenue from it. Because I am in a very, how do I put it? I just need the money. I'm, like I said, I don't know what country I'm going to be living in 5 months. Graduating college soon, gonna have to build up my life from the ground up. Now, Transformers Talk is a little Transformers series I started up that's just talking about sort of Transformers news stuff, or my opinion. If I happen to have an opinion on some Transformers stuff, I'll put it out there. I wanted to, if I was going to lift the doors on the embargo of Transformers content on the channel, I figured that if there was stuff I just happened to want to talk about, I wasn't going to stop myself from talking about it, and so you get Transformers Talk out of that. But Transformers Talk is a side series, is by no means main channel, or meant to be the bread and butter, as Terrasolplix put it, of the channel. It's just something I do on the side, and I'm hoping I'm not scaring away the people who are watching me for the things besides Transformers with Transformers Talk. And to answer will you continue your Transformers lore and Beast Wars Uprising podcast? If not, I will not, and I've already explained why. The mission statement is irrelevant. Or the mission statement has been rendered irrelevant. Twisted Ambition asks, what would you think of a G.I. Joe Star Wars crossover? Like Snake Eyes using lightsabers and Cobra Commander being basically Darth Vader. I mean, he kind of feels like that anyway. I think there are a lot of differences between Cobra Commander and Darth Vader. But a G.I. Joe Star Wars crossover. The thing is, I think Star Wars doesn't necessarily need to be crossing over with anyone. Star Wars is definitely its own deep lore, its own full-on universe. There's enough going on in Star Wars. It doesn't need to enter a crossover. It's sort of like Tolkien. It's hard to cross over his massive universe with anything else because it'll just overshadow. There is really no point, especially when Star Wars follows a very structured, epic storytelling process between the movies, and it just will seem weird, at least intellectually weird, from a writing standpoint to write in a crossover between an arbitrary point between movies. Dan117 asks, what's your favorite historical era, like medieval or Renaissance, for example, and what's your least favorite and why? I get this question a lot, and I always have difficulty with it because I don't have a favorite era. I don't divide history up into, well, like, obviously, like, for historiographical purposes, it's divided into, you can make clear distinctions between medieval and the 2000s. But I don't have a personal favorite because I like history for the overarching narrative. I like history because you can go from the beginning of time to today, and just, I feel like liking a for me at least, liking a specific point sort of defeats the purpose of why I personally like history. I don't really have a least favorite, though. As for, I guess we could respin this question as which historical eras am I more knowledgeable about. I'm knowledgeable generally about Japanese history from the 1850s to 1945, about World War I to from 1914 to 1945, World War I, the interwar years, and World War II. I know a lot about the Cold War, but I also feel like proportionally I know very little about the Cold War. You know, it's like I could talk about the Cold War for a long time, but it won't take me long at all to find stuff about the Cold War that I didn't know. The period from about 1700 to 1821-ish in Europe, I know pretty well. China from 1910 to about 1950, I know pretty well. But for things I least know, the stuff I know the least about, anything in India that doesn't involve like parts when India was conquered by a massive empire, and anything earlier than, say, 1850. Anything earlier than 1850 in India, besides like empires like the Mongols and Alexander the Great, I know generally nothing about. The same thing goes with that Burma area too. I have a little, a little nugget of knowledge from everywhere around the world, from general time periods in general, but India, there is a large blank space of Indian history that I just don't know about. If you were to write out everything I know on paper, you'd look at India and like, okay, before 1850 and excluding massive empires, you have no idea what's going on in India. How many chairs do you own? Well, in this room there's my computer chair, there's the sort of armchair in the back, and then there's like one of those small folding chairs that's underneath the bed, so I guess that's 3. What a weird one to end off in. Yeah, that's it. Alright, that wraps this question and answer up. Thank you guys for asking your questions. It means a lot. I'm sorry for the long delay it took to get this video out into the public sphere. But, yeah, see you guys next time. Subscribe if you have not. Join the Discord server. We have some history lessons going on in the Discord server, taught by yours truly. Link to the Calamos Mythos websites below, which is my weird hybrid fic universe. It's starting to pick up again. Twitter, Instagram, those are down there below too. Especially follow me on Twitter. I need to replenish those followers after I had to get a new Twitter account. So yeah, and links to all the side channels in the description as well as the Lazy Koalas, the group I am a part of. That channel is in the description as well. Yada yada yada. Thanks for showing up.